Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Beyond Sunday podcast. We're so glad that you're joining with us today.
Hey guys, before we begin this episode, I just feel like I need to give a bit of a disclaimer and an apology. This is one of the most difficult episodes that we've had to record as well as edit. We were picking up some frequencies from a cell phone during recording, particularly on Josh's microphone. It was causing some problems. I fell over at one point.
It's just me.
So if while you're listening, it sounds like Josh is talking really fast or talking over himself, that was me in post trying to cut as much of the frequency as we can, but we ran it through an enhancement software. It sounds fine now. It's listenable. You should definitely still listen. There's some great stuff to learn in this episode. It may just sound a little weird this time, but it's fine. Thank you for understanding. Back to the podcast.
Today we've been in a series called Not My King, but before we jump in and talk about this past Sunday sermon, let me introduce to you who we have around the table. So, as always, to my left, we have Josh Hensley. Hello. Directly across from him, we have Justin Eshenbaugh.
What's up?
Justin, glad to have you on today. And to Justin's left, we have Paxton Redd.
How's it going?
It's good, and we still have Tate here. He's in the back.
Always here.
Making things work. We love it. And now he's making noise with candy. So
Just to let you know he's here.
yeah, thanks. So great. So great. Tate is actually munching on some sugar-free Werthers. So they're pretty good. We had some the other day.
You know, I think it's important that every day you have something sweet. Candy, drinks. I'm going to tell on my kids. My kids went to the Harvest Fest at HCA, where my kids go to school. And we specifically told them as we got out of the van, please do not spend your tickets on 2 liters tonight.
Yeah.
You don't want to bring a bunch of 2 liters home. Well, I don't know if that didn't come across correctly, or maybe they misheard the information, but we came home with 13 2 liters.
What's the 2 liter of choice at the Hensley house?
Well, most of it was Dr. Pepper.
Okay. Was it actually Dr. Pepper or was it
No.
Thunder?
It was not even Dr. Thunder. It was Dr. K.
No, not Dr. K. And we're talking Kmart brands now. We're going way back.
Well, my kids believe that it is a privilege that they would get some kind of soda every day. And I tell them it's not. You know, if I were king, I would pretty much say, like, soda is not for kids. Sorry, the sugar content. And we actually, Heather and I, we took, because Aaron, my oldest, he snuck we decided 2.5 servings of soda. We looked on the back and there were 39 grams of sugar on each serving.
Did you weigh it out?
We weighed it out. I said, would you eat 90-something, I forget what the grams were, 90-something grams of sugar? And I mean, it was crazy how much it was there.
Spoonfuls and spoonfuls.
But I would seriously, after seeing that as a parent, I would decree we ain't having that anymore.
My decree as King Paxton.
Warning. Highly controversial takes incoming. Listener discretion is advised.
Would be that all banana pudding would be hot.
Hot? I'm going to agree with you on that until I had Chase Brock's banana pudding. And it is legit some of the best banana pudding I've ever had, but I'm with you.
Here's the reality. I'm not turning down any banana pudding.
That's right.
But I prefer hot.
Well, I mean, is it like hot because it's been sitting out too long? Because hot banana pudding means somebody made it.
Right.
I don't know the last time I had like real banana pudding or a pudding where somebody made it.
Out of the oven, meringue on top.
Oh,
Like, that's where it's at. All banana pudding should be
I
that.
could go along with that.
I love it. Okay, Justin, what about you? If you could be king for a day, what would be your decree?
Yeah, I'm going to step on some toes here with what I'm about to say, but I want to say this first. I have had Chase's banana pudding, and that stuff is awesome, and I'm going to get some more of it this weekend at our young adult hang, just so you guys know. But if I was the king for a day, my first decree, no more Waffle Houses. I do not like Waffle House. Can't stand them.
So wrong.
Turn his mic off.
You're so wrong.
I actually agree with this one, Justin. That's good. Yeah.
Whenever you step into a Waffle House, I feel like my feet start to slide around a little bit. I can't stand
It's
it.
because
Can't
it's
stand
freshly
it.
washed. They
No,
wash that
it's
for
grease.
every
That's
day.
got to be grease or something.
Freshly washed.
What about you, Michael?
If I could be king for a day, I'd probably not allow pets. Just no pets.
No pets.
No pets of any kind.
No cats.
Is this why you have no pets?
This is why we have no pets at the Shearon household. We've tried to have pets about 4 times, and it's ended the same way every time. And every time we're talking about getting a new one, I make Lena promise me this will be the last pet, and somehow it just keeps surfacing. So,
Yeah, pets always ruin it. Anyway, let's talk about last week's sermon. It did have to do with the king. Had to do with King David.
yep,
Is that correct?
That's him.
Kevin preached on it, and King David was considered what? He was considered the greatest king. And I love it that David was known to be a man after God's heart.
what a statement.
I want to be that,
Yeah,
but I know too much of myself that I am not fully after God's own heart. There are things that I need to do better.
David has this quality that I think is so rare. He's like the warrior poet. He has this like incredibly strong, courageous side, right? And then he also has like this, I wouldn't call it soft, but a creative side that knows how to engage the heart, knows how to engage the mind. And I don't know if I know anybody like that, that exhibits both of those. They can kill Goliath in one day and write a song the next day. I mean, it's a pretty wide range.
Josh just took offense to that comment. He thought he was that guy.
I think you
I got all excited. I thought you were going to be like David reincarnate over.
I don't know anybody except Josh. No, I don't know anybody. Josh, I can't see you cutting off somebody's head. I just can't see it.
I just loved that we dove in and described David as a man after God's own heart, but then just looked at some of the shortcomings he had.
Yeah.
And just to be able to look at and see, like, even someone who's after God's heart can make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That was really powerful.
Well, that's the whole theme of the series.
Right.
Was, all leadership, all earthly leadership is going to leave us longing and wanting for more because we're all broken. We're all failed individuals. No matter how desperate we are to follow after God, we all come up short.
And I think we look for those perfect leaders everywhere we go, right? In the middle of election season, the reason we're doing this series is we're always looking at our leaders and desiring more from them, knowing that they're going to fall short or wanting so much more. And so I loved Kevin's grid, the 5-filter grid that he talked about, to be able to walk through as we look for leaders in our own lives, politically, personally, as we look through those 5 things. I felt like that was so key. And I felt like, man, this was the sermon that people had been waiting for. I know there had been so many people who had made comments about, I'm so thankful that we're looking at leaders. And I think this was the moment where Kevin finally came down and was like, this is what you need to look for. You need to look for these things. So can we talk about those 5 things real quick?
Yeah. Hey, real quick, as we talk about, you guys help me because like even right now, and as he was teaching, do you guys remember the things that you would wear on your eyes and you'd click it and like then it would shift the picture of what you're looking at? What are those things called?
Viewmaster?
I don't know. Maybe it's called a Viewmaster. Tate's shaking his head yes. So that's kind of what I was thinking about when Kevin was talking about like these 5 things. Like, can you see this person at every lens or that you're looking through? But I just thought that was fun.
What is that thing that you said? What was it?
A Viewmaster?
Yeah.
Yeah. It says the 25-year-old.
So the first Viewmaster thing that we're looking for, right, that Kevin talked about was looking through biblical convictions.
Looking through biblical convictions. And I think that has to do with knowing the Word. That has to do with knowing God, knowing what God calls us to do, calls us to be. Kevin brought up 2 Corinthians 1:12. It says, "Now this is our boast, our conscience testifies that we have conducted ourselves in the world, and especially in our relations with you, with integrity and godly sincerity. We have done so relying not on worldly wisdom, but on God's grace."
Yeah, and this was that time in the sermon when Kevin just talked about how important it was to look to a leader who shows that they have faith.
Proven
God. Proven faith.
Yeah, I like that.
Exactly.
All right, second, look for evidence of character.
I loved this point when Kevin said whether he's looking for leaders or looking to make a hire at whatever position, that this is priority number 1. And then at the end of it, he said it's really hard to find. And I felt attacked.
Well, character is something that is tested.
Absolutely.
It's something that you do see through the viewfinder. It is something that you observe about somebody that only knowing them will indicate it to you. So I think it's got to be super hard when you're hiring somebody just based off of maybe a reference or maybe what you've watched, specifically if you're hiring a pastor to preach, watching online. You don't know their personal life. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know how they conduct themselves off stage or in their own life.
Character goes so much deeper than just what they're doing on the surface. It goes to their personal life, what you're talking about. That's what makes it so important. It's about who they are, like in essence.
Yeah. And you're right. It is hard to see up front, but it always shows up, right?
Always.
Like you can't hide it. It's going to come to the surface.
Yep. So look through biblical convictions, look for evidence of character, and third, look to proven competence.
When I think about competence, I think about, does someone actually have the ability to do what they're saying that they're going to do, right? So like if Ruben's wearing a costume around the house saying, I'm going to fly, no, you're not, right? You're not competent in that area. There's no way that you're actually going to be able to do what you say that you're going to be able to do. And that can be a hard thing to judge with leaders because it means that you do have to look at past performance, right? Are they going to do what they said they were going to do? And sometimes the best indicator of whether or not somebody's going to do what they say they're going to do is, what have they done? What did they do?
When David praised the Lord in Psalms, he was going off because he knew God. He was a man after God's own heart. He has experienced life with God. He's defeated Goliath. He's become king. And for him to write some of the Psalms that he did, and Kevin pointed to one when we got to this point, but David praised the Lord in the presence of everyone because what he said in that Psalm was things that he noticed about God. Praise be to the Lord, the God of our father Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor, for everything in heaven and earth is yours. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. Wealth and honor come from you. You are the ruler of all things. In your hands are strength and power to exalt and give strength to all. The reason he's able to say all of these things is because he's experienced God's presence in his life. He knows what God is about as his leader. He knows what God is about as his father. He's seen it happen through generation to generation, and God has proven faithful over and over again. So he's able to know that God is completely competent to do what he says he's going to do.
Based on God's past experiences with him, right? I mean, can you guys imagine fighting Goliath and knowing, man, the Lord is with me, and how that would just set you up to be able to look at anything that's in front of you, to be able to look back and go, man, the Lord's with me.
Something I love about talking about proven competence with David fighting Goliath is, what was his competence that was proved before that? He hadn't fought any other Goliath, but he had shown himself by fighting off lions and stuff. And I think like the point here is that sometimes, what you've done in the past, it leads to a different showing of that, that can be proven in different ways and lead to more opportunities.
Yeah, so we're looking back at the past, but one of the things about looking for a leader is we also got to look forward. And that was the other point that he brought out, was look forward to days to come. You got to have a leader that has a vision for something out in front. We're not just here in the moment. We're looking for leaders that are going to take us to where we want to go.
Right. And he said, you're not looking for a leader to lead you. And Kevin said, what about your kids? What about your grandkids? You got to play the long game, is what he said. You've got to look so far ahead to know the trajectory of where this leader is going to take you. All right, so now we're to number 5. We've been through look through biblical convictions, look for evidence of character, proven competence, and look forward to days to come. But lastly, look up with prayerful confidence.
I think the idea of looking up with prayerful confidence, that's the only thing we can be confident in, right? We certainly don't look down in confidence. We don't look around in confidence. It is only by looking up and looking to the King of Kings that we can have confidence. Also, with all 5 of these things, I think Kevin said this on Sunday, But nobody's going to do all of these things perfect.
Right.
In the leader that we're looking for. And that was encouraging to me to hear that, because I feel like there's this pressure of making the perfect choice. And there is no perfect choice right now. And I think that's where a lot of people are and what a lot of people are wrestling with in this next season.
Yeah, going back to what you just said there, Michael, you said that we can look up with prayerful confidence, but that, God is the only person we can fully trust in. That's why we look up with that. And I love the point, that illustration about, who was it? It was one of the kings, King
Louis.
King Louis that
14.
Kevin made. King Louis the 14th, Kevin made at the end, where the priest just comes in and snuffs out that candle and says, "Only God is great." Man, that was so powerful. But that's right on the line with what you were saying, with we can only look to God.
Well, King Louis, he reigned for 70-some years.
72 years. Became a king when he was 4.
What do you think his first act was at 4?
I think he said, all banana pudding.
More brownies.
So, for those of you that maybe weren't there, King Louis, he reigned that long, and so he thought highly of himself. He called himself the Sun King, as in kind of a bright shining. But in his death, he had said that he wanted to be buried in a golden casket, and he wanted to be placed in the church and all the lights off, and wanted one single candle lit so that it reflected off that golden casket and lit up the whole room so that everybody remembered that he was great. And
what an absolutely crazy request.
But I mean, the dude's been reigning for 72 years. I mean, nobody could hold anything to him.
Do they have elections?
No.
Yeah.
For kings?
That's what I'm saying.
But then the spiritual leader, the priest.
The man's official title was court chaplain. Thank you. Back to the podcast.
Got up to declare his eulogy, and the one thing that he did to start off was he took his fingers and snuffed out the candle and proclaimed that only God is great. And that's true.
Absolutely.
One day, every king, every person is going to pass away. But the legacies that they leave, they may be the thing that carries on. But if it's not rooted in God, because we know in the end, God reigns. We know in the end that no matter what we do here on earth, God is the victor. No matter who's in place as leader, God is the victor in the end.
And I think that gives us so much hope in uncertain times, because it doesn't matter who the leader is. It doesn't matter the direction of that leadership. We can be so discouraged by looking around if our hope is in those things.
Right.
And so that's why, we want to make sure that our hope isn't in any earthly leader. Our hope is in Christ, and he's the one who will always reign.
I've had this thought as we're going through this series. We've said before, I think we could all pretty much agree on this, that the choices that are laid before us, we're going to choose the lesser of the two evils. Would everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Some people are shaking their heads. Some people are looking at me. What if, here's the thought that I had, what if the Lord is going to allow leadership to rule and to reign, knowing that it's not going to be good, knowing that it's not going to be great, for the sole purpose that we would look to him.
Yeah. For
the sole purpose that we would want that we would desire that, and to know and understand. Maybe I should look up.
Right. I think that is the essence of Judges.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The entirety of the book of Judges.
Well, as we think about leaders, we know that there's definitely no perfect leader, and we're looking forward to that election. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to after that election. But thankfully, before our upcoming election, we got a special Sunday coming up as well. Pastor Kevin kind of teased what was coming next Sunday, and that is Vision Sunday. One of the things that excited me about coming to serve on the staff at Newark was this consistent forward vision that was always out and pushing and striving to be obedient to the Lord. And so I'm extremely excited to hear what God has laid on Pastor Kevin's heart as we look forward to Vision Sunday.
Also, Sunday is a big day, not only Vision Sunday, but it's Harvest Family Fest, and Harvest Family Fest is our opportunity as a church to reach out into our community, invite them to our property, and to just bless them. And that's what I love. There's opportunity everywhere, and we have a bunch of people, and I think the weather's going to be amazing. And so I look for there to be a lot of people on our campus on Sunday, and we're going to pass out candy. We're going to have a lot of candy.
Oh, mine, Dr. K.
Yeah, I'm going to bring all of those soft drinks, and we're just going to give them out.
Josh, what is your kid's favorite part of Harvest Fest that we do at Newark?
Probably their favorite part is the trunk or treat.
They just want the candy.
They want the candy, and they're going to eat as much of it as they can before I get my hands on it.
Right.
What do you go for when you do the candy tax? What's your go-to?
Anything chewy. Anything chewy for me.
Got to be the Reese's. All the Reese's.
Well, here's the problem. The Reese's have been contaminated.
What? With the hands?
No, just like, I hate this whole like mixed bag of candy.
Oh, I see what you like. It takes on the flavors.
Takes on the flavor of all the other candy. And
let me just say this. The worst candy of all time.
More controversial takes incoming.
There's got to be Smarties.
Smarties?
Smarties.
No, it is not a candy. Strawberry, like strawberry wrap.
Chalk. Up.
Okay, I was getting this.
Okay, let me. Here's why I asked what your kids' favorite part was. My kids' favorite part is by far like the balloon animals or the balloon sword. But I've learned something over the past couple of years, and that's this: don't get the balloon art at the beginning. Because it's going to touch the grass, and it's going to pop, and it's going to be devastating.
So you're going to be right back in that line.
Right back in that line. So stick with me, hang with me. We're going at the very end. We're not getting in line for that first.
These are like Harvest Fest hacks that you're giving out right now.
Here we go.
But anyway, lots of people going to be on campus. Not only candy, not only fun and games, but there's going to be a gospel presentation that comes with the night, and it's going to be a fun time. But it's also going to be a very engaging time for people to hear about Jesus Christ. And so if you want to pray as we get into Sunday, not only for Vision Sunday, but also for Harvest Fest, that God's will would be done, and that we would catch this vision and be excited about what God is doing here at Newark Fellowship. But listen, hey, thanks for always tuning in. If this is your first podcast, I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you're getting a lot from it. If you listen to podcasts regularly, make sure that you like the episodes, that you subscribe to the channel, whatever platform you're listening on, and share it with others, because that's the way the word gets out. But thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week.
See you later.
Bye.